All right, welcome back, Bear Down. Thanks for tuning in to Bear Down Sports. Appreciate you guys tuning in. If you don't mind hitting the like button, commenting, keep the algorithm going. I really appreciate it. Not going to spend too much time on that, but we do have exciting stuff happening. The Bears and Bengals are getting together for their joint practice today. We've known this is coming, and I don't like to get into the speculative videos too much. I don't like to speculate on trades. That's not really my angle on this one. I try to look at the current roster, see how it fits. But big news did happen the last couple days that shows the Bears were in on Matthew Judon, but didn't offer quite enough. You see on the right side there from Jordan Schultz, sources several teams were interested in Matthew Judon, but it ultimately came down to the Bears and the Falcons, with Atlanta finalizing the deal today. They ended up giving a third-round pick for him, so we don't know what the Bears were going for. But I kind of look at this from Skycross. This is from Twitter, guys. And I saw this interview and I thought to myself, well, this could mean that Matt Eberflus is saying we're trading for one. It could mean we're going to go after one. And it doesn't necessarily mean that we're trading or that we're going to do one right now. You guys tell me what you think. Listen to the hiccup in his voice when he realizes he did say something a little off.
When you acquired him from the Commanders.
Yeah, I mean, he demands attention, right? So that helps free up the other rushers. And that's so important to be able to do that, to have a guy like that. When you can have two, it's even better, and that's what we're searching to do here coming forward. But it's important that you don't have to cover as long. The pressure's there. And what's great about Tez is that he's a great run player too. So he understands that stopping the run gets you favorable down in distances, so we can rush the passer. And he's always done that well.
I mean, really, that can be interpreted a couple different ways. But when you listen to that little bit of a hiccup, and then you hear the news coming out that the Bears were in on Matthew Judon, but they didn't win the Matthew Judon sweepstakes, or they didn't offer enough, or maybe they didn't think with his age he was worth enough, or he wasn't quite the high-caliber guy that's worth giving up on DeMarcus Walker and Austin Booker. There's a lot of different angles there, so who knows really why the Bears didn't offer more than a third, but it does show they were going after someone. Well, now we have the Bengals coming to town today, and while it's good for the practice, and we listen to Cole Kmet and we listen to different players talk about why this is good, it ramps up the intensity. They all have to be there. They all have to be able to work through different players than they're normal used to. There is another aspect to this, because Ryan Poles and the brass have a chance to talk with the Bengals, gauge Trey Hendrickson in person, and be able to see if they can work out the preliminaries, get something working. As we know, in the offseason, Trey Hendrickson was unhappy. He did sign a one-year extension last year, so he's on the hook till 2025 with them, this year and next year, but his production has been absolutely elite. Now, this is PFF. Their sacks are always a little off. If you look everywhere else, they say he has 17.5 sacks, but ignore the exact number and just look at the amount of pressure he gets. It's absolutely crazy. 80 pressure, 79 on 469 pass rush snaps. Now, he's almost 30 years old. He'll turn 30 near the end of this season, so he'll be 29 for this season. And then he's got one more year in his 30-year-old age. So right now, we've got a rookie window with Caleb Williams where this won't kill our salary cap to pay him more. He's getting $20 million a year each of the next 2 years, but part of that was in signing bonuses, so when they trade him, and I'll get to that in a minute, that won't show everything. But what happened on Twitter is once Matthew Judon news happened, Bears Twitter went nuts. And you can see the news from several months ago at the top there. Trey Hendrickson requests a trade. The Bengals didn't want to trade him. They've got 2 years with him, and they did sign the extension with him, so they want to hold him firm to that. They're trying to make him work for value, though, because they're in a different position, the Bears are. That's what happens when teams have quarterbacks like Joe Burrow on their list. They've also got holdout problems with Jamar Chase right now. They've got a lot of players that coming on those contracts. They were in their Super Bowl window the last half a decade, and they were real close several times. But now they're kind of at the end of that window where they've got to let some of these contracts go, and they can't afford to both do Jamar Chase and Trey Hendrickson for the value he wants. So they kind of want to write out this Trey Hendrickson $20 million for the next 2 years. But if the Bears trade for him, there's a way we can do that, and it looks really good on both sides. But here's Bears Twitter. Bears should just kidnap Trey Hendrickson this weekend. I thought that was pretty funny by David Peters. Windy City Sports, I'm putting house money on Ryan Poles, at least chit-chatting with the Bengals GM and Trey Hendrickson during joint practice. That's what I'm saying with the point of this video. There's an opportunity here where these teams can get together and discuss this and see what's going to happen. And then voice of reason there at the bottom. I don't know any of most of these guys. Eric Durwatcher There's been some buzz surrounding Trey Hendrickson after the Bears fell short on landing Matthew Judon. Personally, I think it's more of a byproduct of fans wanting the trade instead of actually happening. We'll see, but I have a hard time imagining the Bengals making that move. That's true, but you're not taking into consideration the salary cap and where they stand with all that. So this is where the Bears can swoop in. Here's a proposal. This is from me, not from anywhere else. The biggest need the Bengals have is a cornerback, and the Bears are overloaded this year. I'm not going to pull out the whole charts or anything, but Greg Stroman could be on the 53-man roster, but he also is very expendable on the last year of his deal. A lot of starter experience. He's desirable by other teams that are really lacking at the cornerback position, and that's exactly where the Bengals are. He could be a starter, could be a quality depth piece. That's what they need. They have solid defensive ends. If I go to both of these teams from last year, you look, Montez Sweat was clearly our leader. Trey Hendrickson is clearly their leader. But they have several options right behind it that aren't terrible. You add DeMarcus Walker to that mix, and they've got 5 solid, and Sam Hubbard really isn't their lowest. He just had the lower pass rush grade out of them. But he's a good defensive end. These are all good defense. I sorted it by win percentage, by pass rush win percentage, and they have 3, and they have a couple young guys, so their defensive ends aren't crippled. But receiving DeMarcus Walker back on a quality deal, $8 million a year for the next 2 years, this year and next year. It's not just 1 year of control. That could bring a team like the Bengals, who are probably seeking a first-rounder for Trey Hendrickson, because he's in that upper elite tier. He's in the top 10, top 5 defensive ends in this entire league with his production numbers. His run defense isn't the best, but it's also not terrible. It's very average, but his pass rush is worth every penny that you're going to pay him. So if we trade away DeMarcus Walker, which the reason we do that is what I've showed you guys on this channel, is you've got players like Austin Booker and Daniel Hardy and Jacob Martin who need a little bit of rotational time. Is it that important for those other guys, Jacob Martin and Daniel Hardy, to be able to get a ton of time? No, it's not. It's nice to have depth pieces. It's really more important for your starters. You want 2 solid on each side, just like Matt Eberflus was saying. And when you have 2 of those guys, it really makes a huge impact. Well, Austin Booker's your young rookie. You want to get him some reps. But if you've got 2 solid starters and you're just rotating him in, that's a great way for him to develop. The problem is if you just trade for Trey Hendrickson and you have DeMarcus Walker sitting there, where does that really leave the opportunity for Austin Booker to get his reps? As defensive end 4, those are very limited down on the chart. But DeMarcus Walker's contract is very friendly for us to be able to unload some cap, take on Trey Hendrickson's cap, and still be able to extend him this year to be able to get a couple extra years in that window where we have our rookie window where we're pushing for a playoffs with Caleb Williams and these young rookies. It perfectly makes sense. So look at the dead cap numbers there at the bottom. This is in trade. You have to eat the signing bonus is what happens in the trade. You've already paid that to them. So you're eating that in the dead cap. CNC in 2024, Trey Hendrickson, they're going to eat the dead cap of 5.1, but they're going to save 15, and the Bears will pay that 15 this year. And for DeMarcus Walker, the Bears have been very smart with their contract, so they'll save $8 million. The Bengals will have to pick up his $8 million, but they're still overall net saving $7 million off of that entire thing. Good for their salary cap, good for them to extend Jamar Chase. But they're also picking up a quality cornerback, next year's second-round pick from the Bears, and a future fifth-round pick, and that's worth it. I know a lot of you might be thinking that's a lot, but really when you're looking at a quality pass rusher like Trey Hendrickson and you're going to extend him for a couple years, it's really worth it. So this is what it would do to our salary cap. And notice in there, I'm accounting as well for the practice squad members, about $4 million, as well as those new debt additions, including DeMarcus Walker's $250,000 in there. And so you've got up top $50 million spent on defensive linemen. And look at Trey Hendrickson's $14.8 million. And you see I've extended him 2 years at the same as Montez Sweat. And at his age, that's actually a very reasonable rate. It might be a little bit less, might be a little bit more, but I'm just going to put those numbers right there because that's actually a very reasonable extension for him. I think he would agree to it, especially if we're going to give him those 2 years extension at $50 million, guarantee $40 million of it, and give him up front as the signing bonus, who knows, 10, 15, 20 million of it. Who knows how much. But either way, you could pay him up front now. It can come off the salary cap later. It's the way you work out the numbers of it, but it all works out, and that still gives us over $10 million after practice squad members, after everything goes through in the cuts and everything. We'd still have $10 million, which is what Matt Eberflus would want to carry into the season. We can make other trades. We can make other cuts. We can have other things. This is just giving a gauge that by getting rid of DeMarcus Walker and his $8 million, bringing on Trey Hendrickson's $15 million, we're still in really, really, really good shape on the salary cap. And it also benefits the Bengals. They can go out and sign Jamar Chase to an extension. They can do the things that they want to do with their salary cap, or even T. Higgins if they want to. They can. I mean, they've got things they've got to work out because they're in a position where they're kind of getting past their window of needing to work toward a playoff and a Super Bowl team because all those big salaries they have on their team. Well, this was last year's team, as I showed you. The Bears are clearly improved on every front there, especially if we make this trade. This is what it would look like moving forward. Well, here's before the trades. You've got the locks, size, versatility. Anyways, let's move to after the trade, what it would look like, in my opinion. And this is what you'd have. You'd have your two starters, Montez Sweat and Trey Hendrickson. Sorry, I didn't put his name right there. You guys know who it is, though. You're going to have one of the best defensive lines in the entire National Football League if you work out this trade. Then as backups, you've got Austin Booker, Jacob Martin, Daniel Hardy. Really, really solid. I would propose we trade Dominique Robinson as well. All you're going to get is a late-round pick for him, 6th, 7th round pick, and that's fine to me. I appreciate everything he did. I'm glad he worked his body out and that he's really pushing for it this year. But I think it's best to use him as trade value. And then practice squad, I think Jamari Chroma and Khalid Kareem could both make it to the practice squad and continue to develop. But look at the 5 defensive ends you've got there. Montez Sweat, Trey Hendrickson. Then you've got Austin Booker, Daniel Hardy, and Jacob Martin. I really, really, really like those defensive ends with Byron Cowart, Jervon Dexter, Zach Pickens, Andrew Billings. Those 4 guys on the interior, I really like the way that's rounded out. And everyone, national pundits, our own fan base, everyone would be excited about that defensive front. The only thing people would be saying anymore about this, because everything from the secondary, linebackers, defensive front, wide receivers, tight ends, quarterback, running backs, and even the offensive line now with Nate Davis healthy, this could be a Super Bowl team this year. And then you've got the same roster for the next 4 years, essentially. All these contracts are long-term contracts. I think it's a little bit of a long shot. I think it's a little bit of a pipe dream. But we know the Bears are looking for someone. They were in on the Matthew Judon situation. They didn't win it. Now, Trey Hendrickson's a big name. He's kind of, so in his interview, he did an interview after he came back to camp and he was willing to participate. He said, look, my holdout shouldn't hurt the team. I want to be a part of the team, which I love. I love that he's being a team player. So I want to be here. I hope we can work it out. I hope we can get something done, but he's not holding out. So do the Bengals feel that urgency? Probably not. But if we can offer that much value by giving them back Montez, or no way we're giving him Montez Sweat. If we can give back DeMarcus Walker, we can give him Greg Stroman Jr., a future 2nd and 5th. I don't know any Bears fan that would say no to that for Trey Hendrickson. And really, that's really quality value coming back to the Bengals on their side. So I think it all makes sense. I think it would be the perfect type of trade. Let me know what you guys think. Please hit the like button if you haven't done so by now. I really appreciate you guys doing that. Comment whether you like this proposal, whether you like the idea of it, if you even like me speculating. The only reason I'm speculating is it was clear now from Matt Eberflus's words and from what came out after Matthew Judon was traded that the Bears were in on it. So it looks like they're trying to do something, which means to me they're not completely happy with DeMarcus Walker. They love Austin Booker. They love what's coming from the backside. And then you've got Jacob Martin, who's getting healthy now. I don't know. I really think this just makes way too much sense. So let me know what you guys think. Please like the video. Subscribe if you haven't done so. And until next time, bear down and dabears.